If you're trying to make sense of all the FinOps tools and services out there, you know it can feel like you're lost in a maze. Well, today we're going to cut a clear path right through all that complexity and give you a real, usable roadmap. And let's be real, if you're feeling even a little bit overwhelmed by the sheer number of options, you are definitely not alone. I mean, the landscape is just huge. It's incredibly diverse, and it feels like it's growing every single day. So the big question is, where do you even begin?
Okay, first things first, let's make sure we're all speaking the same language. When we say tool, what we're talking about is the software itself. You know, the stuff from your cloud provider, from a third-party vendor, or maybe even something your team built in-house. A service, on the other hand, that's all about the people, the human support. Think training, expert consulting, or managed services that actually help you get the most out of those tools. So here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we're going to tackle that tooling maze. Then, and this is crucial, we'll talk about building your strategy before you do anything else. After that, we'll map out the whole maturity journey, look at who you need on your team, and finally, we'll get into how you actually measure if any of this is working.
All right, let's dive right into part one. This is all about getting the lay of the land, understanding the environment we're all operating in. Look, the most important thing to get right away is this. There is no single best tool. It just doesn't exist. The perfect solution for you is almost always going to be a mix. Some native tools from your cloud provider, some third-party software, and yeah, maybe even a few things you've built yourselves. And the key thing to remember is that this perfect mix is a moving target. It's going to change and evolve as your organization grows. Which brings us perfectly to our next section, building your strategy. Seriously, before you look at a single demo or ask about pricing, you absolutely have to have a solid strategy in place. This is the foundation for everything else. Get this wrong, and you're just wasting time and money.
And this right here is so critical. A new tool isn't some magic wand you can just wave to fix all your problems. Nope. Tools need a plan, they need skilled people to run them, and they need a clear strategy to actually be effective. The real work doesn't end when you buy the tool. That's actually where it begins, with onboarding and really digging into the data.
So how do you actually build that strategy? Well, it really boils down to these 4 key steps. First, map any tool you're considering directly to your business goals. If it doesn't help you achieve an objective, why bother? Second, figure out what company policies are already in place that might affect your choice. Third, take a good hard look at the tools you already have. You might be surprised. And finally, do a proper analysis of whether it makes more sense to build it yourself or buy it off the shelf.
Now for a really interesting part, using the crawl, walk, run model to figure out exactly where your organization is today. And hey, this isn't about judging anyone. It's just about honestly finding your starting point on the map. You can think of this model like a GPS. Once you know if you're in the crawl, walk, or run stage, you'll have a much clearer idea of what you need right now, and you can chart a much better course for what to do next.
So let's start at the beginning, the crawl stage. This is the entry point for a lot of organizations. The main focus here is super simple, just trying to get some basic visibility into what's being spent in the cloud.
You know, when you're in the crawl stage, things are usually pretty informal. There's not much real requirements gathering. It might just be a quick chat. Very few people are involved in picking a tool. There's no real build versus buy thought process. And critical stuff like implementation and training, yeah, those are often complete afterthoughts. Okay, next up, we have the walk stage. At this point, things are getting better. The organization has a much better handle on FinOps, the needs are becoming clearer, and the whole process is starting to get more structured. So in the walk stage, you start to see a much more organized approach. There's real requirements gathering happening, especially with the FinOps and finance teams. People are actually researching what's out there on the market, a basic build versus buy analysis gets done, and there is actual planning for things like implementation and training new hires. It's a huge step up from the chaos of the crawl stage. And finally, we get to the run stage. An organization at this level is playing a different game. They have an advanced FinOps practice, and they have this really detailed, big picture view of their tooling needs that's baked into everything they do. When you're in the run stage, everything is detailed. It's data-driven. Requirements are gathered from everybody involved. The market research is exhaustive, and there's a specific plan for ROI from day one. The focus here really shifts to automation and constantly checking in on how the tool is performing. This right here is the goal, a well-oiled machine. Okay, but remember what we said. A tool is only as good as the team using it.
So let's talk about who really needs to have a seat at the table when you're making these big decisions.
As you can see, FinOps is absolutely a team sport. You gotta have leadership for the high-level sponsorship and to make sure you're aligned with business goals. You need engineering for their expertise on automation and integration. Finance is obviously key for budgets and forecast. Procurement helps manage the whole process in the commercial side. And your product team is crucial for defining what you actually need the tool to do. When all of them work together, the tool stops being just software and becomes a real strategic advantage.
And finally, we get to the bottom line. How do you actually prove that all this time, effort, and money was worth it? This last step is all about measuring your success. Really? It all boils down to this. Is your tool making the company money or saving the company money? Is it actually helping you hit your most important business goals? If you can't connect your tooling investment directly back to real business value, you've got a problem. So what should you be measuring? Well, start with the hard numbers, total cost savings or costs you've avoided. Then look at adoption. Are people actually using this thing? You've got to measure user satisfaction with something like a Net Promoter Score. And finally, always circle back to the beginning and ask, did the tool actually do what we needed it to do?
So, we've laid out the map. From building your strategy all the way to measuring the results, the path forward is clear. The only question left is, what's the very first step you're going to take?